For the past 10 years, Westford resident Nancy Cook and the local suicide prevention group she captains, Team Forever Young, has participated in dozens of Out of the Darkness walks. These 16 to 18-mile dusk to dawn journeys not only raise money for the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, but they also hope to cast a light on the growing number of suicides in this country and to remember those who have taken their own lives. On Saturday, February 9th, Team Forever Young and its presenting sponsor, the Lowell Sun Charities, held its first annual Team Forever Young Celebration Gala at the UMass Lowell Inn and Conference Center, where over 350 people attended and $35,000 was raised for the AFSP through ticket sales, silent auctions, raffles, and sponsors. Here's Nancy Cook discussing how the event came to pass, followed by her co-chair of the fundraiser, Jackie Zegowitz.
This is our first annual gala. It was Jackie Zegowitz's idea to evolve from our Cinco and our Dining for a Cause.
Nancy and I thought it'd be a great evening to pull friends, family together. Be a great way to raise funds for suicide prevention. Everyone loves to get out, get dressed up, spend some money, have some fun.
We started 10 years ago in the loss of Billy Duggan, a Westford police officer, my friend from junior high school. We started walking to bring awareness to mental health issues and for suicide awareness. We are, as I said, 10 years in. We are back in Boston where it all started, and we will continue to do this as long as we have strength and can walk 18 miles.
We never expected to reach 356 people. We thought we'd be lucky if we could get 250. So we're pretty pumped. We're excited. It's going to be a great night. Great night.
Good evening, and I'd like to welcome everyone. My name's Bill Uphold. I'm part of Team Forever Young, and I'm here with my co-host.
I'm Jackie Zegowitz, part of Team Forever Young. Welcome all of you.
For those of you who don't know, and I'm sure most of you don't, Jackie pulled this together in a short amount of time. It's Team Forever Young's first gala, and we'd like to thank you from the bottom of our hearts for everyone for showing up for us tonight. Thank you so much. And I know you might know us all, but if I could have my fellow team members stand up, I'd greatly appreciate it. You all deserve a round of applause. And I know who all of you are, so everyone better stand up. We work tirelessly throughout the year to fundraise for the American Foundation of Suicide Prevention for our walk every year, and we couldn't do it without everyone's help. If you notice the centerpieces, the cities are the cities that we've walked in over the years. This was started 10 years ago, and we've been going strong ever since. I'd like to thank a few people for being here. First off, all of you. Thank you so much. We couldn't do it without you. Secondly, Robert Gebbia and his beautiful wife Liz. Robert is the CEO of the AFSP, came all the way from New York to be with us tonight. Does a ton of work behind the scenes and probably one of the most eloquent speakers I've ever heard. I hope to be that good tonight, Robert. I'd also like to say a special thank you to Scott Hyder, Hidden Battles. They do a lot for us also, and they do a lot for the veterans and first responders who have issues. Thank you so much for coming here tonight, Scott. I don't believe she's here yet, but I'd like to thank Congresswoman Lori Trahan, who will be here shortly. I'd like to thank Bill Samaras, the mayor of Lowell, for being here also. Lowell Sun Charities, and anyone else I didn't mention, thank you so much for helping us out. I'd like to take a minute to recognize someone who's very special to all of us, and that person, I'm humbled and honored to call her my friend. She gets us all together. She gets us all motivated. She's done more for this cause than anyone I know, more for many causes. She has a heart bigger than this whole building, and she's one of the most beautiful people I know, both inside and out, and that would be Nancy Cook. For those of you who don't know Nancy, you'll know her shortly. That's all right. Do you want to say anything else? If I could have Father Peter come up for the blessing.
I'm very comfortable with silence, so take a moment to appreciate, first of all, the gift of your own precious love and life. Let's not overlook that. It's a privilege to gather with you this evening. Just last Thursday, I celebrated a one-year anniversary for my grandnephew, Michael, whose life was taken at the age of 28. He died in Quincy from over-medication of drugs, but also battling the terrible illness of depression. And it's so important for us to always encourage, especially young people, not to be afraid to admit that illness. So often they see as a tremendous stigma, something to be ashamed of. And if they had a broken arm, a broken leg, they would never feel the same way. So we have a tremendous amount of work to do to educate youngsters to really share those concerns with their parents so their parents can provide them the best medical and therapeutic help that they possibly can. So as we gather, maybe just take a moment, call to mind people who are very precious in your life, who may be battling the illness of depression, especially so many of our young people, which is so mysterious. Just last week, I was dealing with a 7th grader who was really battling that terrible illness, just couldn't see any reason to go on with his life. And then we'll begin with a little prayer. God of life, you desire that precious gift for each and every one of us and for all of humanity. We thank you for being the God of life, the God of unending love, compassion, healing, and forgiveness. Help us, Lord, no matter what our faith tradition might be, to deepen our relationship with you as the God of life and the God of love. May that relationship flow out in our compassion and empathy to our brothers and sisters who may be struggling in any way. Ask your blessings upon all who are so responsible for this gathering here this evening, for deepening our own awareness and consciousness. We thank you so much for all of the men and women who work hard to provide this food, the wonderful waiters and waitresses who will serve us, imitating the servant Christ Jesus himself. And we give you thanks for the wonderful gift of music and joy that is there to enrich our lives. Help us, Lord, to take the joy and nourishment of fun, of wonderful conversation, and of loving kindness back to our homes and to our communities. And we make this prayer in the name of our loving brother, Jesus, who has become one of us, to enrich our lives and provide us with the path and the way to the fullness of life, now and forever and ever. Can I get a big amen? Amen. Then I'll stop. Thank you.
Thank you, Father.
Hi, everyone. I hope everyone's enjoying your meal. Please just continue to eat. We just want to move the program forward so we can get to the music and dancing. We're all dressed up. We all want to dance, correct? Thank you.
All right.
First off, I forgot when I was thanking everyone earlier, our friends from Lowell District Court bought 11 tables. So thank you, Lowell District Court. They all know how to party, especially Belle right there. So thank you very much. A little about Jackie and I. Jackie and I didn't know each other until about 5 years ago. We had just texted and gone back and forth, and then the next thing I know, we were in a hotel room in Boston. Sorry, Jimmy.
We did. We stayed the night together.
We stayed the night together with, I don't know, 4 or 5 other people. It was actually our first walk in Boston. It poured on us all night long. It was so bad they cut the walk short. If I had hair, I would have looked like a drowned rat. But that was the first time I got to know her, and we've been together ever since on our walks. So we're going to start. We're going to have a few speakers come up and speak to you tonight that have graciously given us their time to come and talk to us. The first one is going to be Congresswoman Lori Trahan.
Well, thank you, Bill, for that introduction. And here it is definitely Lori Loureiro. I'm looking out at so many of my high school classmates, and it's definitely not Trahan. That makes me sound far fancier than I am. But I want to thank you for having me here tonight. I want to thank Team Forever Young, Nancy Oakes. I want to thank the Lowell Sun, and to all of you for making suicide discussable tonight. It's an honor to be here, shining a light and bringing hope to those affected by suicide. Billy Duggan, Keith Crocker, Gina Silva, Keith Lally, Nick Hyder, the beautiful Anna Eslanian. These are some of the people we honor and we remember tonight. It's in their names and thousands of others that we come together to help those who may be suffering, those who might think that they're going to find peace in suicide. I took a look at suicide rates in Massachusetts as I prepared for tonight, and it reveals a startling reality. Since 1999, we have seen a 35% increase in the number of deaths due to suicide. This trend is sadly not unique to our Commonwealth. According to the Centers for Disease Control, suicide rates have risen 30% across the United States. This rise is particularly pronounced among our veterans. Veterans aged 18 to 34 have higher rates of suicide than any other group. And more than 6,000 veterans kill themselves each year since 2008. Suicide rates have increased more than 25% in just a decade. For the LGBT youth in our community, suicide is far too common. The Trevor Project reports that LGBTQ youth are almost 5 times as likely to have attempted suicide compared to their straight counterparts. And 92% of transgender adults reported having attempted suicide before the age of 25. We just cannot accept these statistics any longer. It is critical that we work together, hand in hand, to do the necessary work of eliminating stigma around talking about mental health. Of course, that includes events like this one. We need to be serious about raising the money necessary to support the work of people and organizations like Out of the Darkness and Team Forever Young and the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. We need to make sure that mental health services are given the appropriate prioritization in our policy debates, and that resources are available to our young people wherever they convene, in their schools, at work, in their churches. In Congress, which I know right now doesn't seem like a very productive place, but I do plan to use my seat on the Ed and Labor Committee, which has jurisdiction over K through 12 education, to fight for better access to mental health services for our children. On the Armed Services Committee, I will work to end veteran suicide and make sure our servicemen and women have access to the appropriate quality care that they need. But while all that is necessary, and frankly, it's expected, the true work of breaking down stigma happens on the ground, in rooms like this one, person to person and one-on-one. It means looking out for our friends and for our neighbors, family and coworkers, asking them how they are, following up when we sense that there's something wrong, and being there when it matters the most. We must confront suicide like we would any other public health crisis, so that we look forward to a day when suicide and all matters of mental health can be discussed openly, without shame and without judgment. I'm so honored to be here tonight, and I know I'm standing in between you and fun and dancing, so I'm going to stop. But I'm so honored to be surrounded by so many people who care so much and who have dedicated so much of their time to being a light in the darkness. So thank you, Team Forever Young, for the important work that you do, your dedication, your hard work, and your compassion. It saves lives. Thank you, and good night.
Thank you very much, Lori. Next, I would like to introduce the CEO of AFSP, Mr. Robert Gebbia.
Good evening, and welcome, and thank you for inviting me. To everyone here who's lost a loved one, a friend, a family member, a coworker, I'm sorry for your loss. And to everyone here who has struggled themselves, or has a family member, a friend, a coworker, a classmate who struggles, I'm so glad you're here. And we will be there for you, because suicide is preventable. But it doesn't just happen. We have to do a lot to make that happen. So I want to thank you. I want to thank Nancy Cook for inviting me, and Tammy, her daughter, and everyone on Team Forever Young for all you've done. I don't know if they're going to announce it. I don't want to take their thunder, but I think after 10 years, you have raised $500,000. Can I have the next, oh, I have the slides. Here we go. There we go. So it was mentioned earlier about the stigma. Well, I bring you good news. I think the fact is that we understand mental health better than ever before, that there's less stigma. We see it as people talk about their own experience and open up about their struggle with suicide, depression, anxiety, addictions. And more people are getting involved. We have not seen numbers like this ever in terms of the numbers of people speaking out and getting involved. And public attitudes are changing. We did a poll through Harris, a nationwide poll, which showed that now 90% of us believe that our mental health is as important as every other aspect of our health. 90% of us say we would intervene if somebody we knew was struggling. And over 90% now believe suicide is preventable. That was not the case just a short time ago. We are making progress, and attitudes are changing. And I want to share with you just a little bit about all the funds that you've raised, the funds you're raising tonight, how we use that. And our mission at AFSP is to save lives and bring hope to those who are affected by suicide. And we do that in a number of ways. Through research, we have to know more about how to prevent suicide. And there isn't a public health problem that hasn't been improved upon and lives saved when you invest in the science and the research. We've seen that with HIV, we've seen that with forms of cancer, and it can be true of suicide. There's also the need for advocacy. We have to get our public officials and policymakers to take action on this, federal, state, local. Prevention education, educate the public about this. Do more screening programs and support those when there is a loss so that they can heal. And so we do that through chapters. We have 79 chapters. Our chapters are represented here in Massachusetts and here tonight. We're excited about the fact that we now have people all over the country, all 50 states, working at the grassroots level. So grants, you've helped fund, this year alone, 26 new research studies, over $5 million. We now have $18 million in research studies. And look how it's grown in 5 years because of your support. This year, or last year, 2018, we launched our first national public service ad campaign called Seize the Awkward. I would urge you to Google it and watch it. It's aimed at young people, 16 to 22, encouraging them to help a friend who is struggling. And they want to help, but they needed to know how. And that's what this campaign is doing. We're doing it with the Ad Council and the Jed Foundation. In 1 year, we had 17 million views and over 500,000 impressions as a result, 500 million impressions as a result of this campaign. Education programs. We have a program called Talk Saves Lives, basic education. And I hope you all will some point avail yourselves of that. Last year, over 100,000 people were trained in this. We have a new film used on college campuses called It's Real, about how mental health can be addressed and students can do well as long as they get help. And we have a new lived experience, those who have experienced being suicidal and survived telling their stories. Another way we reduce stigma and show hope. And advocacy. We've had so many successes because of all of you, our advocates. We now have 20,000 advocates around the country who are ready and willing to call on their members of Congress, their state officials, to try to get legislation, crisis services legislation, which passed this year in Washington because of your advocacy. And at the state level, more training for teachers and school personnel and health care workers about suicide. So we have a lot more to do in advocacy, and I hope you'll join us and become an advocate. It's easy to register right online at our website, afsp.org. Programs for loss and healing. We do trainings for clinicians, for support groups. We offer our annual International Survivors of Suicide Loss Day, where those who recently bereaved can be together and find support for each other. We have outreach programs, so many things. And we did something this year called Survivor Day Live. We had 52,000 people watch that program live. 52,000 people all over the country. These are people who've lost a loved one and got support through that program. Media. Look at the amount of media we are getting today. Every major news outlet has been covering us. We had 50 national interviews in June during the Kate Spade and Anthony Bourdain tragic loss of both of them, and the media was interested. All the major outlets. And we now on social media have over 800,000 people following us on social media. These are all new numbers. This is all because of your support. But we have a lot to do. You heard the numbers earlier about those we're losing. 47,000 people died in the last year we have data for, 2017. And it's been going up since the late 1990s. We have to do better. We have to reverse that trend. And that leads me to a project I want to let you know about. We have set a bold goal to reduce the annual rate of suicide in the U.S. 20% by the year 2025. And there are 4 areas we believe give us our best chance to do that the fastest and save the most lives. Working to those who own firearms to educate them about suicide, safe storage, when to remove a firearm from the home. We are working with those who own firearms because 50% of those who die by suicide use a firearm. We have to keep them safe. We're working with the firearm owning community to do that. We're also working with healthcare. We lose too many people who present in primary care, emergency departments, that don't get picked up, helping them do a better job identifying risk, using better treatments so that the outcome isn't suicide. And last, in corrections. I was shocked when I found that Massachusetts actually has a high rate of suicide among those incarcerated. And it's true around the country in jails and detention centers. We have to do a better job so that those incarcerated do not take their life but get the help they need. Now, the biggest way we get involved is through our walks. Obviously, that's where Team Forever Young became involved in our overnight walk. This past year, we had 350,000 people walk for suicide prevention. 350,000. So anyway, thank you for your attention tonight and all you're doing for suicide prevention. Thank you so much.
Our next speaker tonight will be the AFSP Area Director for Eastern Mass, Tara Greeley.
But thank you again, Nancy and Tammy and the entire team for putting this night together and inviting us here. This is a pretty unique opportunity for a national office event initiative to be able to partner with the local chapter, and that's something that's really, really exciting. So I want to talk to you a little bit about, and this will be a little bit of repetition from Bob, but just a little bit more specific to what we have here. Thank you so much, and I want to make sure you guys are aware of this because I want to let you know about some different ways to get involved. First, I'd like everyone to raise your hand if you've ever done one of our Out of the Darkness walks. That's amazing. So there's a lot of people in the room who have never done a walk. And I'm here to let you know there is a walk in Lowell in September. Oh yeah. So at the chapter level, we're able to host a lot of community walks. And on the scale of the Out of the Darkness walks, this is really, really amazing. We actually have 7 in Eastern Mass alone. You're getting some sneak previews up there, which is awesome. But I invite you all to come. It's free registration. There's no fundraising minimum. We invite you to come and get involved. If you're from the greater Boston area, we have these walks in all 50 states. So please, please come and get involved. That's kind of our fall timeline. In the springtime in the greater Boston area, we have some exciting campus walks. We're actually partnering with UMass Lowell on a lot of those sponsored trainings that Bob mentioned. So we have some mental health first aid trainings that are set up on a schedule right here at UMass Lowell, and working with UMass also on a campus walk and on our interactive screening program. So kudos to you all in the room who are from this area especially, because there's a lot being done that you might not even know about. I did also want to mention in the springtime we have an event called A Sip in the Park. It's at Fenway Park. It brings in an awesome corporate crowd in addition to those who have gotten involved in our events before. If you're interested in that, there's a sign out front with all the dates of our fall and spring events, and there's a little table right by the bar, which I know you'll all be passing through. So take a look. My business card is there. We're going to be dancing tonight, but I would love to see a flood of emails and phone calls tomorrow and Monday, inviting us to kind of get together and partner on some of these things. We also have our Advocacy Day at the State House coming up on April 10th in the afternoon. We invite you to come. We're going to educate you and train you on how to talk to your legislators to talk about this, because what we've learned is that there is less than $1 being spent per person statewide on suicide prevention. And think about that and compare it to all of the fundraising that's being done, everything that we're doing both on the national and local levels, and think about how much more we have to go. And we really need all of you in here to be the voice. As Bob said, sign up as an advocate. It's so easy. You get these email updates, what's going on, some templates to talk to your legislators, and we provide that training as well. Lastly, I just want to give you guys some free stuff. So raise your hand if you work for a company, any company. Pretty decent amount. Let us come in and give you a free presentation that's funded by all of this fundraising, both nationally and locally. The Talk Saves Lives presentation is absolutely phenomenal. There are different modules focused both at the corporate level, at the school level as well, for faculty, students. More than sad, it's real. We can be there for you in your local community. It's really, really cool that a couple of weeks ago, I was with our board chair delivering More Than Sad to one of our schools. And then the next day, we were at Bay State Financial. The next week, TJX. We're at we're everywhere, and it's so important to be educating folks on safe messaging. And I did want to celebrate too. I know the Lowell Sun is a big sponsor tonight. Where's the Lowell Sun? Where are they? Amazing. I'd love to connect with you guys and anyone else interested in this programming. We have some media guidelines and safe messaging in the media as well. We presented to NBC 10 recently. Would love to do that for you and talk to you about that. But again, I appreciate so much all you're doing. Everyone here has taken the first step by even just attending this event tonight. Whatever got you in the door, I would so hope that you really take everything in tonight. And then as you're leaving, think about what kept you here and what you're going to do leaving here. So thank you so much. I appreciate your time. Please come find me tonight or grab one of my cards out there, and let's talk about how we can partner and really be the voice here. Thank you so much.
The walk this year for us is going to be in Boston on June 22nd. And I'm extending a personal invitation to all of you to come and walk with us. Real quick, behind every good team is a coach. And our coach is here tonight. If Erin could stand up for a minute, please. Small in stature, but big in words, let me tell you. Thank you for everything you do for us, Erin. Now, Jackie Zegowitz would like to say a few words before we move to our next speaker.
Thank you so much for being here. This hits me really personally. It's hard. It's really hard. We want to stop suicide, but also the many people it affects around us. I know for me, my family, so many friends of Michael's. It's been hard. It's been a long journey. It's like years, not just days and months. It's a lot, and we're here. We support each other. We couldn't do it without each other. We couldn't do it without all of you here tonight. And you many that have taken their lives, it affects all of us, each one of us personally, and it's changed each one of us in many, many ways. Just want you all to know that there's someone there for you, that someone wants to listen to you. And don't ever think you're alone, because you're never alone. And just don't forget that, okay? Thank you so much for being here tonight.
Great job. Our last speaker tonight is a dear friend of mine. I had the honor of working alongside of her in Westford. She always had my back, and she's a cop's cop. Retired Officer Kristen Leary.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me tonight. I have absolutely nothing written. I am going off the cuff because it is just my journey. So I am a retired officer. I retired from the Chelmsford Police Department last August. It was final. My story started in Westford in 2000. After working for 2 years in Westford, I moved out to Western Mass, where I was a police officer out there. In 2015, after separating from my husband, my son and I, who is now 9, we moved back here to Westford, where I was born and raised. I lateraled to the town of Chelmsford and was accepted with open arms. And boy, did I not even remotely understand what was going to happen to me in the next 2 years. I transferred in December 2015, and I'm just going to tell you my story for the next 2 years, and I promise I'll try to make it quick. So I was assigned to the midnight shift by choice. I was a single mom, so it was best for me to work midnights so that I could sleep during the day while my son was in school. I would get up before the bus came home. We did homework, baseball, all the good stuff. He would go back to bed. I would then nap for a couple hours and go back in for my midnight shift. In July of 2016, I was involved in my first officer-involved shooting. at Sully's Ice Cream, where it was a police chase from the town of Tingsboro. The suspect had driven his car and tried to drag my supervisor while we were on duty on a Saturday in the middle of July. And anybody from the area knows Sully's Ice Cream in Chelmsford is a very busy area. I did all the medical treatment along with my coworkers from the police department and the fire department and Lowell paramedics. That suspect had been shot in the head, was bleeding profusely, and he was life flighted to Boston, where doctors stated that the first responders on scene saved his life. From there, I never knew what my journey would take. And from there, a week later, after my chief gave me a week off to deal with the visuals of the shooting and everything else, I came back, and my first shift was an overtime shift, and it was a 47-year-old father who had gone into cardiac arrest. And I remember doing compressions on his chest, looking out the front door of the house with his wife and 3 children, looking at me, pumping on their father's chest with my partner. That father was saved by our efforts and was transported to Lowell General Hospital. When I got back to the police department to change out our oxygen tank and all our equipment, I got a call from my mother, and my father was not doing well. He has his own issues. He's a retired trooper from Mass State Police, retired as a major and a former Marine who was fighting his own demons. And so that night I got a call from my mother that Dad wasn't doing well, and I went to the house, and he was transported to the hospital by Westford Fire. My father ended up in the next room next to the gentleman that I saved, and I met his wife, and in her arms I broke down crying because my professional life and my personal life had literally collided and ended up in the ICU room at Lowell General Hospital. From there, my life just kept going. I was a single mom powering through, and in the midst of everything, I was training for a marathon because, I didn't need anything else in my life. In September and in October, I continued to train for the marathon. I ran it. I ran the Marine Corps Marathon down in Washington, D.C. After that, I completed it. Thank you. And come December, I ended up fracturing my foot in the midst of the marathon, and I was out of work. And slowly, looking back now, that's when I realized things started to deteriorate. I started not sleeping. I started having flashbacks to old calls. I was becoming very hypervigilant of everything around me. And in December, things got worse. I was not sleeping at all. Maybe an hour a day, 2 hours a day, I'd go into work. I was not safe for my officers that I was working with, but I tried to power through. As a female officer, I held myself to a higher standard because I had to keep up with the boys. I always had to prove myself that I could be as good as them, if not better. And on December 31st of 2016, I apologize, I got a call from my friends out in Holyoke, from the Holyoke Police Department, where I had worked for 7 years, that my sergeant, who was a 28-year veteran, had taken his life that morning. He had gotten into a fight with his wife. He had driven off. There was no signs, no note, no nothing, and he shot himself. 4 days later, when we were out for the funeral and the wake, my partner from Holyoke, who was my brother, my confidant, who had taken care of me through dark times, was diagnosed with cancer. He was 37 years old, and he was diagnosed on the day that we were waking my sergeant. From there, things got more difficult. I still wasn't sleeping. I was having flashbacks to old calls. I would close my eyes and see dead bodies, old calls of a child drowning that I had tried to save in a river, and it just got worse. And in the middle of January, I ended up having a breakdown from not sleeping, and I ended up at Emerson Hospital. Fortunately for me, I had people in place to take care of my son. I was going through a tumultuous divorce, and my worst fear was that my ex-husband would try to take my son because of my mental health. I continued to power through, and because of Nancy, I was able to get the help And in April, I went to Onsite Academy, which is located in Westminster, Massachusetts. And it treats PTSD in first responders, for veterans, for paramedics, for fire and police. And it saved my life. And I continued to power through for my son. And it was the best thing I did, because little did I know, in July 23rd, 2017, a year and 1 week from the shooting in Chelmsford at Sully's, that I would be involved in my own shooting at a domestic at 20 of 8 on a Sunday morning with a suspect that was holding his girlfriend hostage in a bedroom because he was mad she wouldn't pick him up at the bar the night before. I was a senior officer on scene, and after arriving with my fellow co-workers, after the suspect had thrown hammers and shards of a framed door frame at my partners, it was determined that there was no other way to get through it, that we couldn't call SWAT, we didn't have time, because he was screaming he was going to take her or one of us. Because I was a senior officer on scene, I made the decision that we were going to shoot him. We made a plan, we devised it, we implemented it. My partner kicked the door in, and I shot the suspect twice, striking him in the leg and in the head. It dropped him to the ground. We were able to save the female that was in there. He was transported to Lowell General and then went to Boston, where he survived as well. But that was my last call as a police officer in the Commonwealth. I truly, if I didn't have the things in place to take care of myself, the mental health capacity at that point from the counseling that I had received and what I had learned to take care of myself and to take care of my guys on scene, I never, ever would have survived. Breaking the stigma for police, for fire, for paramedics, it has to be there. We have to be able to speak our minds and not be afraid to lose our jobs. We have to be able to take care of our first responders, or they won't be able to take care of us. Thank you very much.
In closing, I'd just like to say that if anyone out there needs someone to talk to, Team Forever Young, we're a phone call away, any one of us. As I mentioned earlier, Scott Hyder with Hidden Battles, there's a table set out front. They do everything for first responders and the military, because we all have issues no matter what we do, and we all relive things, and we all wish we had someone to talk to. And that's what we're all here tonight for. In closing, I'd just like to say, once again, I know we've said it 1,000 times, thank you so much for coming. Without you, we couldn't do this. We have silent auctions out there. Please spend a lot of money. If you don't have a lot of money to spend, there's a donation jar. We'll take whatever you have. And as soon as we... And more. Yes, we will take more. And as soon as the band's ready, we're going to get them up there. Please enjoy your rest of the night with us, and let's have some fun. And I stand corrected.
What is that?
No, quick,
That's
right?
okay.
It's all right, Billy. You can forget me. It's all
Never,
good.
ever. Hey, it's Nancy Cook.
Go figure.
For those who don't know Nancy, this is Nancy.
You guys didn't think...
Those of you who not know Nancy Cook.
First of all, can the whole team come up? Can everybody come up? Come on, Rose, Jim, Laurie, Gino, Jen.
Quickly.
Come on, get up here.
We're waiting for some music. Go.
This is Team Forever Young. Scott, you should be here too. We want to thank you all for coming tonight. Nancy and Terry, thank you and the Lowell Sun Charity so much for believing in us and making tonight a reality. We really, truly wouldn't be here without you. Tom Zupa, thanks for always having faith in us. State Representative Jimmy Acero, where are you, Jimmy? Did you leave? Jimmy has been my son's Santa partner. You've been with us from day one. You've helped us. Huge love, thanks, and support. Always, Jimmy. So many thanks to AFSP for giving us a place to grieve, a place to learn, a place to hope, and a place to make available, a place to make us available for people who need help. My hope every time I beg one of you guys for money, and I beg all of you for money, David over there, is that one of those dollars will save a life. One of those dollars will help make available to those who struggle with depression. One of those dollars will help recognize the sign of bullying. And finally, one of those dollars will be here to help and support the loved ones lost to suicide. In our 10 years of involvement with AFSP, we have met some very, very remarkable people who have guided us, held our hands, and made sure we succeeded. Jason was my very first coach, and he was wonderful. And then Megan, who recently got married, took over for him. And then the absolute best, Erin Kenny. Erin has just been promoted to manager of Out of the Darkness Walk, but assures us she'll continue to hold my hand, still answer my 25 emails daily prior to each fundraiser. Erin is our team house mother, and we couldn't do it without you. Erin, can you come up, please? We could not do this, Erin, without you, truly. I know we drive you crazy, but this is for you. We love you, and thank you so much.
Oh my God, I'm so glad to be here.
One last thing, special thanks to Daisy, who publishes us, keeps us in the newspaper, Patty Stalker, who publishes everything about us. Thank you for all your coverage. Thank you for always being there for us. Patty Mason, where are you, Patty Mason? Patty Mason helps us with everything we do. What can I say? You're amazing. Gary Lavelle, CSA Graphics, made all our banners kind of last minute, always makes it happen. We just want to thank you all. We couldn't do it without you. Thank you so much. Enjoy the music.
To date, Team Forever Young has raised $500,000 for the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. For more information on how you can get involved with Team Forever Young, go to their homepage, Out of the Darkness, Team Forever Young, on Facebook. Or visit theovernight.org/participant/30359. For WestfordCAT, I'm Patty Stalker.